Welcome to the BlockOps Bitcoin and Crypto Mining Podcast. This is your host, BlockOps. I'm going to talk today about GPU mining. And before I get into it, there's a lot of abbreviations in this cryptocurrency world. So let's talk through a couple of them. When mining is done, the machines calculate the solution to a problem. And the way that solution is calculated, it has to be done through the algorithm. Bitcoin has SHA-256, so secure hash algorithm 256. Litecoin has script, Dash has X11, Zcash has Equihash. Those are all different algorithms. So the ASIC miners, application-specific integrated circuit miners, that can mine Bitcoin can't mine Litecoin. They can only mine the algorithm that they're designed for. GPUs, graphic processing units, also known as video cards, they can mine just about anything that there is a mining application that's written for. So you can find a application that'll use a GPU card to mine Bitcoin. It won't be very power efficient. You'll spend more in electricity than you'll gain in mining Bitcoin, but it's possible. And so from a algorithm flexibility, the most flexible type of system is a CPU, so central processing unit, a regular computer, then GPU, then FPGA, stands for Field Programmable Gate Array, and then an ASIC. And I'm not going to talk about FPGA mining today. There's a little bit more specific, but FPGA chips have been around. Gosh, I was selling them to engineers back in the mid-90s, so 30 years or so. And they're used in many cases to prototype ASICs or also to do things in a more dedicated fashion than a GPU. So let's talk today about GPU miners and why you might want to build GPU miners and use them. And it has to do with speculation. So GPU miners can be really good to use if you want to mine something that there doesn't exist that you know of or can purchase an ASIC miner for. So a good example of new cryptocurrencies that come out, the new cryptocurrencies come out and they want to gain followers. They want to gain community. They want people to care about them. Because that's the biggest problem in many cases with a new cryptocurrency or any type of crypto project is first they have to get people to care about them. And there's a lot of ways to get people to care about them, but one of the time-honored ways is to come up with a new algorithm and make that known to GPU miners, and then everybody who has a GPU system will start mining this new cryptocurrency if some of the other requirements are met. And I'll talk about some of those other requirements for a new cryptocurrency. Then the GPU miners, they get quantities of it, and then they want to do something with it. So they have a group of people that all of a sudden have this new cryptocurrency, and it helps jumpstart the cryptocurrency economy. The miners work to get it listed on an exchange, and then they can sell it to people, and there's price discovery that happens, and then all of a sudden that new cryptocurrency, which was worth nothing when it started, is all of a sudden worth something. So recent, here in the past year or so, year or two, we'll say, new cryptocurrencies that have come out that are GPU mineable, still GPU mineable right now. Raven, Grin, Beam. There's a number of others that are out there as well, but those are the ones that jump immediately to mind. And so why would you even want to mine those? Well, if they have a cryptocurrency emission curve that's very similar to Bitcoin's, where many new values, many new units of the crypto are created in each block, then the early miners can build up in the early days of the cryptocurrency before other people know about them a large amount. And then they mine it, they hold on to it, and then later on when that cryptocurrency goes up in value, then they can sell it. And so they'll make a lot more profit than they would just mining and selling right away. So that's the idea about GPU mining. It's speculation on a new project by being able to get some of it before you could even buy it on an exchange. So it gives you kind of an insider capability. And that's kind of fun. It gets you involved in the project. GPU miners are oftentimes they're built as like a computer with 6 or 8 or 12 or 20 graphics cards on them, and it allows people to use their technical skills to buy a new project and speculate on a new project and get it at a discount. So there's a lot of enjoyment in that for technical people like me. I love building and running GPU miners. Now, just like any other mining system that you may want to buy, don't buy it when the parts are too expensive. So a few years ago, graphics cards went up in price so much because there was such a demand for them, and people bought them at high prices, and the people that bought those graphics cards at high prices probably aren't going to be able to recoup their investment. So if you think that you want to be buying and building graphics card miners, GPU miners, now might be a good time to buy graphics cards when the price is low, just like with any other mining type of system. So, all right, so when a new cryptocurrency exists, there's two main things that'll make the price go up. And one of them is good and for the long term, and the other you gotta watch like a hawk. So one of the ways that the price will go up on a thinly traded cryptocurrency is if there's an orchestrated pump and dump. And so this is where, when there's new cryptocurrency, people that are experienced at doing this will come join the cryptocurrency, and they'll get all sorts of followers to be excited and engaged about it. They'll make up all sorts of stories about how this is going to be the most wonderful project out there, and then they'll get people to buy into it. And when that happens, the insiders who are running the pump and dump operation, they're selling into the buying wave that people create. So you can look at the past histories of some cryptocurrencies and see that there was definitely a pump and dump that was happening. The one that most recently comes to mind for me was when Bitcoin Private was announced. And so this caused the price of Z Classic to rocket up to a really high value. And then it crashed down. So Z Classic is not at a very high value now. It went through a pump and dump with the Bitcoin Private splitting off. The other way that the price goes up, it takes longer, but if it's actually a project that has value. And so, well, how do you determine if a project has value? One of the basic ways that you can do it is, I always remember this quote from the inventor of Netscape, Mark Andreessen. And he says that in any kind of new endeavor, if you have the choice to bet on the market, the team, or the product, always pick the market. Because if there's a market demand for something, then the team will respond to meet the market, and the product will be modified to meet the market as well. So for anybody that's coming up with a new project, look to see if there's an actual market for what they're doing. What I mean by market, so we'll give some examples. Monero is a leader in privacy, so there's a market for private transactions. Ethereum was started because there was a market for contracts and being able to write contracts and deploy those types of systems. Others. So Ravencoin is a good example. Ravencoin, they're mineable by GPU now, and they're about doing assets, putting assets on the blockchain, able to trade those assets like shares of stock or whatever. So those are good markets. So once the project has a market that seems reasonable, and you got to be open to some of these markets, because just because you've never heard of a market that might be good doesn't mean it's necessarily bad. Like, one of the things that I hear a lot of people are interested in different blockchain projects for are supply chain, addressing supply chain issues. I don't really understand supply chain. I know it's an important thing. And I'm sure there's going to be a lot of different projects that succeed on being able to address supply chain issues. So I guess it's a thing, but I don't really understand it. Okay, there's a good market. Then, is there a team that can deliver a product? Because even though the market is the most important thing, there has to be a team. And a fundamental part of the team is a good software developer that can take the open source software that's out there, that's from Bitcoin or from other types of projects, and change it into something that will be able to be used to address the market. And one of the ways that I always check out a new cryptocurrency is to go download the wallet. There's usually a wallet that can be used to access the cryptocurrency. And if I can mine a little bit, send it to the wallet, receive it, and it's actually usable, then I know they actually have some developers that can do some work. And that's a good starting point. It used to be that you could just have developers and everything else would form around it. I think cryptocurrency and blockchain has progressed far enough that there needs to be a complete team to operate the cryptocurrency project. Now that can form. We did that with Horizon as we bootstrapped and started out and then ended up hiring developers and marketing people and accountants and support desk people and all sorts of folks like that. So it can certainly happen, but you need to have a team that works. Okay, so a market, a team, a new algorithm, and this algorithm, when it first comes out, it may work well, it may not work so well. There might be flaws in it. There might be ways to exploit it and attack it. And so that's some of the early days. That's why there's a lot of upside in doing GPU mining, because the GPU miners are taking risks on a new project. So some of the things that I've heard about for algorithm attacks are like a 51% attack if a majority of the hash rate can be used to address and rewrite previous blocks on the blockchain. A time warp attack where the system thinks that there's a lot of blocks that happen in a row and it can generate a lot of fresh minted cryptocurrency for the people that are doing the time warp attack. And then there's staking issues and other things like that. So there can be issues with the algorithm, and want to make sure that the developers that are working together on the project actually are able to address those types of issues. Community. There needs to be a bunch of people that actually care that this project exists, because those are the people that are going to provide support to the developers, get the project listed on an exchange, go out and talk to merchants or whoever the customers are for it. So you've got to have a community. Want to have investors. So all these coins that are mined, and if they are able to get onto an exchange, we'll talk about that in a minute, somebody's going to want to buy them on the exchange. So that can be a bunch of small investors, it can be some big investors, but people that have funds in other cryptocurrencies or fiat money, government money, you're going to want to get those people to buy the coins of your project. Or else it's not worth mining it, because the coins are just going to sit there. Speaking with exchange support. Exchange support's kind of a tricky one, because the major exchanges don't want to really add a new cryptocurrency very quickly until it's proven itself, and some of the minor exchanges are risky. And they might be risky because there's bad actors that are running them, or they end up getting into a situation that's over their head, or there's regulators that come and shut them down. An example of a exchange that listed all sorts of different cryptocurrencies and then had some issues is CryptoBridge. I'm not really sure what the issues they had were, but I know that any of the coins that I had on CryptoBridge, I'm never getting those things back. So that's, again, why there's some risk and why there can be a lot of reward for GPU mining, because if you run the gauntlet of finding a project, getting in on early, mining it, being able to maintain control of the coins, and then finding a place to exchange them without losing them, that's a bunch of steps that you're taking. Of course, there needs to be a design in the project for ongoing funding so those developers and other people can get paid. And if it meets all those requirements, then it's probably a good project to do GPU mining on. And you can go to places, and there's two main classes of GPUs, the AMD style GPUs and the NVIDIA style GPUs. And you can go to different websites like What to Mine or Coin Wars or different things like that and plug in the type of GPUs that you have and what your electricity cost is, and see what you should mine on your GPU. So the way I like to operate my GPUs is figure out a project that's going to be good and around for a while, and set my GPUs to it and then check them every few weeks just to make sure they're running and there's been no major changes in the project. Because that's the other thing. Like, I was mining Raven for a while, and I went to check on my GPUs. I had been distracted for a few months. I was not mining as much as I could have because there had been application improvements that tripled the capability of the mining applications, and I just hadn't upgraded. Now, when Raven switched its algorithm to a new one, I was right on top of it, and I was able to update my miners then. Now, you might ask, why did Raven and why does Monero and why do all these different projects that are GPU mineable change their algorithm? Well, it's because for a lot of these algorithms, it's possible to turn up an FPGA stream or even create a ASIC miner that can mine these at a lot higher capability than the GPUs can. And a lot of the folks that make these FPGA streams and ASIC miners, they don't sell them. They just build them themselves and then operate them for a while. That's what Monero was doing. They were tracking the hash rate, and when they could see that there were too many hidden ASIC miners on it, they would change their algorithm. That's what Raven does as well. So when you're GPU mining different cryptocurrencies, you got to stay on top of what's going on with the project. And most of them are going to have a Discord or a Telegram or something like that that you can monitor and stay with it. So that's good. And then you want to be able to run these miners in a way that you can switch from mining one crypto project to another. So I like using Linux-based mining operating system. I use Ethos. There's a bunch of them out there. That way I can set my miners up, run them without a monitor, run them headless, and then not then just monitor them through a monitoring panel or through a secure shell or something like that. So that's a good way. There's lots of people and lots of YouTube videos, lots of instructions on how to set up GPU miners. So I'm not going to go into all that. But what I am going to talk about is if the goal of a new project is to gain community, are there other ways to gain community? So GPU mining has been traditionally a very good way to do that. But you can gain community by other ways. And so projects are probably looking at doing this as well, gaining community in other ways. And so see if they're doing that, because you want to be mining a project that's going to grow and has a big community. Maybe it's headed up by a bunch of people that work with paid influencers and they get a community into the project that way. Perhaps there's some kind of gaming system that it's integrated into. Or maybe it addresses a need where there's already an existing community. There's many existing communities out there that need better applications to assist what they're doing. So like Ethereum addressed communities that needed contracts. Monero for privacy. There's a few different ones for porn, cannabis, supply chain, gambling, that type of stuff. If you just want to get Bitcoin, you can use NiceHash. So NiceHash is an operating system that you can boot your GPU miners to, that when people want to mine a specific algorithm, they'll pay NiceHash in Bitcoin. Bitcoin will go up to all the NiceHash will go to all the GPU miners out there that are registered and tied to it, and they'll flip to whatever algorithm is profitable on it and provide that algorithm hash rate to the people who are paying it. And so the people that hook their GPU miners up to work with NiceHash, they're running. They don't know what they're mining. They don't know what algorithm they're doing. They just know that they get paid from NiceHash in Bitcoin, which is kind of cool, because if your miner is netting you 50 cents or $1 or $2 a day, and you can just have it running and get paid in Bitcoin that way, you don't even have to worry about the Bitcoin halvening that's coming up, because it's not going to address GPU miners that are running NiceHash. Okay, well, that's enough about GPU mining for now. I'll give you a quick update on what I'm doing and thinking about right now. It's the 28th of January, 2020. The Bitcoin halvening is coming up sometime in May. And one of the things I learned on the previous upswing, where as Bitcoin price went up, I kept buying more and more miners. So what my recommendation or what I'm doing is I'm maintaining a reserve of dollars to pay my electric bill, and I'm maintaining a reserve of cryptocurrency, and I'm not buying many more new miners. So we bought some Antminer S17s. We've still got our L3 Pluses running, still got our Antminer S9s running, still got the Antminer Z11 and Innosilicon A9 running. So we're mining across a bunch of different algorithms, and all of them are profitable right now. And so we're building up profit every month. And what I did on the last run-up was take a lot of those funds and buy new miners in it, and then invest more into the business. Not this time. This time, we're set right where we're at, I believe, in the number of miners. We're not going to buy a lot more miners. We're just going to run these because we're in a bull market. We're going to run our miners. We're going to build up some Bitcoin and Litecoin and Zcash and Zen and other thing and Bitcoin Cash. And we're going to sit on it. And then when there's momentary price spikes, we're going to sell off enough to pay for the power and then just hold on to the rest. So if you go back to my Bitcoin price cycle podcast and listen to what all the different things are that you want to do during the Bitcoin price cycle, now's the time when your infrastructure should be in place. You should have the majority of your miners in place, and you just want to mine and save up money. And we'll see how high this cycle goes. I think personally it's going to take 1 to 2 years for Bitcoin to hit the peak price. That's just my feeling from what I've seen. A lot of different things can happen. Everybody's got a different prediction. The nice thing about mining is that if the price goes up, your mining is more profitable. If the price goes down, some people unplug their miners, and you can make more cryptocurrency because you have a larger percentage of the hash rate. So far, I still think it's a very viable business. I do think a lot of people are working to get to the lowest overall organizational cost for the hash rate that they can do. That means people are finding a lot of different places around the country where they're able to negotiate electricity rates less than 5 cents an hour, somewhere in the 4 cent per kilowatt hour rate, then a ground lease, and then containers. I've been talking to a few different container manufacturers, seeing what they are for, how they are for production schedules and prices and capabilities. I've talked to a few different people that are doing ground leases in different places. So I think that's the next evolution. One of my mining facilities, we're going to be moving out of the building later on this year, putting everything in containers and finding one of these ground lease locations. So if that's what you're doing and that's where you're going on it, that's right where you should be. If you have a smaller amount of miners, I think you should be looking at hosting for a good price. Because if you do hosting, you don't have to pay for the container up front. You don't have to pay for the ground lease. You don't have to pay for the insurance, the people, the internet, all that kind of stuff. You just have to pay whatever the overall hosted price is. So there's no upfront investment for you. So hosting, in a lot of cases, is a good opportunity as well. If you want more information, you can go by my website, blockoperations.com. There's lots of articles over the last few years, links to my YouTube channel for videos. I'm part of an organization that does consulting, and that's called North Georgia Crypto Mining. If you're interested in doing hosting or consulting, putting together a system where you have a place to have a ground lease and someone to buy a mining container from and some assistance in setting it up, reach out, talk to us about it. And I'm going to keep doing these podcast updates on different mining topics and what the current situation is. This is something that I enjoy doing, and I'm happy to share it. If there is something that you'd like to hear about or questions that you have, please post those questions on my website, on the YouTube channel, send me a contact form, whatever. Looking forward to it. This is BlockOps with the BlockOps Bitcoin and Crypto Mining Podcast, signing off. Thank you.